I heard this TikTok yesterday where he was talking about patterns and that we don't need to heal because we are okay. We are beautifully perfect the way that we are. So often when we say healing, it's connotating that something is broken or wrong with us. And honestly, that would be saying that every single person on planet Earth is broken because every single person has had trauma. And the point was that it's patterns that we need to heal. And oftentimes these patterns are generational patterns that are passed down. And so we don't even recognize them because it's all we've ever known. Often these patterns were observed from the time that we had cognitive awareness. And so it's finding out what those patterns are and then changing those patterns. In my situation, it has been, obviously I have a lot of patterns, we all do, but the ones that aren't serving me are being around people that are self-serving, that are less inclined to worry about me and my well-being and more inclined to exploit my niceness and my goodness to get their needs met. There's a lot of psychological manipulation that is in the pattern of my life and my upbringing, and people employing toxic strategies to get their needs met, where I am the victim and I am the one that suffers because of that. And so in this last year, in being in a relationship where this was all happening, I had to step back and look at not only how I was allowing this in my relationship unknowingly, because allowing is putting some sort of blame on me as the victim, and I do not do that. It is not my fault that somebody came in and mistreated me and used my niceties against me to have their needs met. That is not my fault. And in fact, I would argue that this manipulation is so psychologically expert that it is made to take somebody that is unaware of what's happening and that has some naivete and really take advantage of that type of a person. So I was the perfect archetype to be in a relationship like this. And I didn't realize what was happening to me until I got out of it and started doing research and reading books. And then I realized, so I'm not going to victim blame. It's not my fault that somebody got really good at manipulating me and psychologically abusing me. But what I will say now is that now that I have the requisite information and I'm no longer naive, I can see the pattern of this in all areas of my life. It has been crazy to see it in almost every relationship, major relationship that I had surrounding me my entire life. I'm not saying that everyone's a narcissist, but I will say that the systems of our society run deep with narcissism. And so we can see it in almost every person on some spectrum, right? Because why wouldn't it be present in people? It's present in all of these systems around us. And so now we're waking up as a collective to these harmful, psychologically manipulative aspects of society. And we're seeing it in people and we're seeing it in systems and we're calling it out because it really is the scourge of society. It is what keeps us from elevating in love. It is good for us to recognize it and call it out. And what I started to realize is that on almost every level in many relationships, I was experiencing it. And it is such a trip to realize that not only was your main relationship extremely narcissistic, but you're looking around at your friends and family and realizing that they're in narcissistic relationships. You're realizing that a lot of your friendships are steeped in this sort of selfishness and this psychological abuse and manipulation. And like, I'm all about like giving people space and giving people grace. Like that's what we need to do to like really move forward as a collective, is like love, like start from love, come from a place of love. So I can lovingly respond to people that are psychologically manipulating and abusing me by not lashing out and not trying to hurt them back, but stepping away from the relationships in a nonviolent way. And that's what I've tried to do. And I think that's what we all need to do. And hopefully people that are extremely narcissistic on a spectrum will recognize that people are leaving their lives and that they're losing out on real love. And they will then be in enough suffering that they will want to go inward and they will want to do the requisite shadow work, because that's what it takes. But on this end of life, on this end of like the spectrum of dating and friendships and like really cultivating a space of peace around me, I have to be cognizant of how people show up narcissistically in my life. And what I've seen in the last year is that I had a pattern of attracting those types of people and those types of relationships in my life and letting them linger far too long and getting far too invested in those relationships.